Welcome, Alberto Puig, to the MotoGP podcast Last on the Brakes. It's nice to see you. The last time we had you on the podcast, I think was in lockdown. We were talking about Phil Collins. Seems like a lifetime ago now.
Yeah.
But welcome to the show. First question, the easiest question. How are you? All good?
I'm okay. Thank you for having me. And yeah, it's been a long time since that time, of the COVID times. But yeah, I think we have been making progress since that time, and we have been racing since that time also.
We have. When it seemed maybe at times, will we ever race again? How will the world ever become how it was before? But we are back. We've had many incredible races since. So glad you're all good. Now you're Repsol Honda team manager, as well as some other facets that you look after with Dorna as well in talent promotion that we'll talk about a little bit later. But tell people who don't know maybe, what does it mean to be the team manager?
Well, I can talk you from my perspective, not I
Maybe
don't know.
it won't be the same for everyone, but yeah.
Maybe every person understands this position in his own way, but for me a team manager is a guy that has to have a clear overview of the team and try to be involved in all areas, not with a specific job in each area, but try to coordinate all areas, and that obviously must have a clear understanding of racing. For me, this is the starting point. If you don't understand racing, it's complicated. But you have to be knowing what's going on with all aspects inside the team. Point one, the riders, the bikes, technicians, development, your coordinators, all people related to the team that are working and you never see them, like hospitality people, media people. I mean, there's a lot of things. So at the end of the day, you have to try to talk to each of these parts during the weekend constantly, not for a long time, but just to know more or less how are they going on, how are they feeling, if there's any problem, if there's going to happen something that we should get ready for. So yeah, I mean, this is my understanding of a team manager. No? But the principle is to have a clear understanding of racing and what is the purpose of being here.
Okay, so there's two questions I can ask from there. First one I'm going to ask is, you obviously were a rider as well before, quite a successful one as well. Do you think that is a real help for you to understand racing as you do? Do you think it's necessary almost for a team manager, or for you is it something you really use a lot in your day-to-day now?
Well, frankly speaking, there's not so many team managers that have been riders.
This is why I don't want to make you say like, yes, it's necessary.
No, but for me, it's a clear advantage. It's a clear help. Because sometimes you see team managers that maybe are super good in some things, but in some other aspects, you can feel that they really don't have the experience. So for me, it's only a positive.
So then the big question for you, making sure everyone understands why you go racing. Why do you go racing? What do you think is the purpose?
Personally, when I started,
kind of like a good philosophical question.
Well, you go racing because probably all the guys that have been racing since kids, they have the call of the bike, and they start normally really young. Some guys, after some crashes, decided they don't like it, and some guys, being kids, they keep on going and they want more and more and more. And one day you show up in a race, in a motocross race, and one day you show up in a circuit, and you keep going. But the real why is because you love to ride the bike. You really like that feeling, no? So it's difficult to explain. You just like it a lot, or you don't care. And normally all the guys that are here, they love the bike.
This is the thing. I always think of a MotoGP race where you may experience any human emotion in like the 40 minutes that we go racing, because you might have the greatest race ever, or you might have a disaster, and you never really know until you're at the flag. But yeah, that's interesting. So did you start riding when you were little? Did you get that?
I started riding when I was 7, and I started riding motocross. I was many years of my career I did motocross and then trials. And I started road racing by coincidence because a friend of mine who was really good at that time was injured, and he said, hey, I have to go to Jerez to make a race, but I cannot. And he asked me, do you want to try? So I said, well, I don't have experience in tarmac.
This is a high pressure first
but
race.
I went there with a Yamaha 600 and I did really well. So at that moment I say, okay, now I go full road racing.
Okay, so you switched, and then obviously your career, like I said, pretty successful career, now even more success as a team manager as well. How does it change your approach, and how do you change your mentality when you go from racing to then managing the racing and the other people are doing that racing?
Well, this is a good question, because I think the key point is trying not to change so much, because if you forget where you're coming from, then you can mess it up a little bit. Because normally people, when they change position, that position itself, whatever position in life, makes you sometimes get into conflict with your last position. So in this case, me being as a rider, then stepping up to a team manager or a coach, I try always to think, what would I do at that time if I was not a team manager but a racer? So it's impossible to have the same, or to give the same comment or order or have the same approach. But for me, I try to be as close as possible. I mean, even being a team manager, normally you are working for a company, and the company has riders, and the team manager is in the middle. But I always try to be very close to the riders, because I have been a rider. But there's a borderline, and that's the dangerous area where you have to really think what is better for both, for the team and for the rider. And then you make a decision, you make a comment, you take an action that sometimes is correct and sometimes can be wrong.
So it's quite interesting then, like you say, you are in the middle. Is there anything you've learned being a team manager and changing career that you wish you did know when you were a rider, or anything that you think is really like, oh, I should have respected this more or thought about this more? Like, has your approach changed with that?
I mean, for people, I think we humans, normally we don't change so much. We have a character and that's it. But for me, I was super lucky, because since I stopped racing, I had the opportunity to work for me with the best riders in the last periods, which has been Danny, Stoner, Lorenzo, Marquez.
You've literally got the gallery of greats.
I mean, the best guys, I've worked with them all. I met them as a kid, then as a not so kid, and I have had the chance to understand their mentality. So I learned a lot from these guys. Also, it's true that I teach some things to them at that time, but with time, when the kid is growing and you are getting old, we are both getting old, but the kid is growing very fast and learning very fast, you receive a lot of inputs from them. So for me, as a team manager, I think I learned and improved my potential receiving and listening to many of the things that the riders were explaining. So on your question, it would have been good for me or for each rider to have, I mean, somebody on top. In the past, the team managers were, I mean, some guys are not talking so much with the riders. Some guys are. I try to talk to the riders, and I always talk quite straight.
I feel like you talk straight with everyone. That's why a lot of people really like you.
I talk straight, and I think this is finally, it's useful for the rider, because what the guy is saying to you, in this case the team manager, maybe you like it, maybe you don't like it. If you like it, you use it. If you don't like it, you don't like it, and maybe you get an opinion of that guy and you will not trust him again. This is not, but finally you get something.
Yeah, it's still information, I guess, right?
So, you know, it's quite interesting.
So of those incredible cast of characters who I think are all legends except Marc, but we must assume that Marc will one day be made a MotoGP legend when he doesn't race anymore. What did each of them teach you? Can you give us a little, like a one limb print of something key, or is it more?
No, you just can't resume, like, you could feel immediately the talent. Because in the paddock we have, all the riders are very good. And then we have special riders. And these special riders, you can feel immediately the talent. And it's a talent that it's completely over the standard. And it's not only a talent in the skill for riding a bike, but it's also in the understanding of the bike, in the understanding of how to manage a weekend, in the understanding of life itself. And you can feel that the guys are clever.
Do you think it's like an instinct almost, more than?
Yeah, it's instinct, but I mean, sometimes you listen guys talking and you can feel like, well, the guy, but all these guys that are in this category, that super class, they are all really well established up here, very prepared, and everybody is different with his own things, his own sufferings or fear or enthusiasm, but the general, for me, the general concept is that they're special. They have a lot of talent.
So, okay, this is a good segue into talent promotion projects, and I always use that because that's our internal name for it, but for everyone who's listening and watching this, the Road to MotoGP, the different programs that have been set up to like find and nurture those young riders, you've been quite involved in that from way back as well, not just
Since
now,
the beginning.
since the very beginning. So for you then, what are you looking for in those young riders, and when's the first experience you had of that kind of role and looking for that special kind of standout rider?
Well, we look for what the word is saying, a talent. But I mean, when we started this was back in 1998 with Movistar, and it was a decision from the company, from Dorna, that okay, this sport is not cheap. And people don't have the money to, I mean, if you want to play soccer, you get a ball and you go out and you...
Yeah.
But, so then, this was this agreement with Dorna and Telefonica, Movistar, to create this special thing that never had happened in the story of motor racing. So we prepared a big campaign to ask people to come to test. And we were testing in Jarama for 4 days. We tested 400 people. 5,000 guys make the prescription.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah. And then from there, we get a group of 20, and we started. That was in 1999, I think. Yeah.
I think it was
99. And from then on, we've been trying to find for talent. First in Europe, in Spain, and with the Rookies Cup, based in Europe. Then we did the Asia Story, Asia Talent Cup, British Talent Cup, now Northern Talent Cup. Now we have also these mini pocket bikes that are really, really interesting for the future. So the main purpose of all this is to support and to help. This is very important. It's not only to race and to make some kind of activity or business. No, this is to support and to help people that want to race and don't have, let's say, full possibilities. Because in all these cups, it's true that the organizers, I mean, Dorna, Honda, that has been helping a lot with these cups, even KTM, they are really trying to support making the costs really, really low and make it efficient, make it possible that this championship can happen for these people, no? Which at the end of the day is what I say, it's a support and help for kids to go into this.
It's an incredible difference to cars as well, I feel, at the moment. Now the gap has got so much bigger. Now to try and become a car driver, you need really, really serious money. But in bikes, you think it's true that you can come to Mini GP, just show your talent, and that is enough with these programs?
I mean, it's true that racing in Italy, in Spain, I mean, if you race the national championships and you want to have a good bike, you have to pay. This is true. But there's one thing that it's universal. And if you are a super talented rider and you come here to a circuit with a shit bike, but you perform like crazy, the second race you will not pay. Somebody will take you from your head and you say, okay, you will do this, 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 and the paying is finished. So, but this happens every time in a while.
And it does truly work. We're seeing especially the Asia Talent Cup now, which is the 10th anniversary season this year, and we will now have next year not one but two ATC riders on the MotoGP grid.
Yeah, this is,
which is proof of concept, quite extraordinaire.
we are extremely happy. I mean, we started this project many years ago in Dorna. There's a lot of people working there, and frankly speaking, in the beginning, it was quite complicated. How to explain, I don't know, we are going to do races in Asia with guys that had no idea, they could not talk. We had
just communication barriers, so many different countries.
We had to talk we had to race in tracks that were difficult. So all the people, all the group that we lived that time, when we see now Ogura and Chantra going to compete in MotoGP next year, it's like, fuck, it was trying all this effort, and we are really happy.
It's something very cool now. I think also, obviously, Japan as a factory and with riders, fantastic history, but Chantra as well, first Thai rider to be a full-time MotoGP rider. That's something quite special, I think.
It's very special. I mean, and Chantra, you have to consider that he was one of the first guys in the first edition of the ATC.
I think, was it 2016? I always get him and Dennis mixed up. I think it's 16.
I don't remember, but I remember we gave him some more opportunity because he had a really, really nasty crash one year and he destroyed his foot. So we gave him again a chance, and with that chance he could keep going. No? But yet, I think for Thailand to have a MotoGP rider, it's fantastic, especially with the circuit they have. And you know, next year opening event. I mean, it's
no pressure for him, eh?
It's no pressure. We will see.
First race.
But it will be very, very nice.
It's very cool to see it pay off. So, okay, people will be angry if I don't ask you about Repsol Honda and everything here. So, you have been with the team a while now.
Yes.
You've had some incredible success. It's now a tougher period, but talk us through, first of all, those years with some of those huge superstars, having Marc as well. You arrived when Marc was already Marc.
Yes.
What was your impression arriving then, from having watched from the outside and then arriving and being like, well, okay, this is how this guy works?
The thing is that the first time that Marc came to a circuit, it was not on the Repsol Honda. I was managing the team. It was a KTM team, and he was 13 or 14, so I already knew him.
Of course you knew him generally, also
I knew the type of guy I was going to meet in the Repsol Honda team. But yeah, I mean, it was clear that the guy was a bomb. And for many years, as you said, we were literally destroying the championship. I mean,
Yeah.
but then things happened, and we went into a really complex situation, starting with his injury, together with the COVID. So then we went deep till
It's
today.
a big storm, isn't it? For a lot of people in the sport, obviously COVID was its own complication and challenge. Marc's had his own personal challenge there, and then obviously Honda having a tougher period as well. But having known that incredible level of success, that must make you confident of being able to come back up and make that progress again, because how your team has already ruled the world. So how do you feel about the future now and the road you're on to try and make those steps forward again?
Well, normally, I mean, the story of Japan, of the Japanese people, is that they always want to come back, and they never stop trying. So it's true that during the COVID times, it was quite complicated for Japanese people because they could not travel to Europe. Not only for Honda, also for the Yamaha guys. And at that time, those 2 years, 3 years, I mean, we lost a lot of ground compared to the European manufacturers. In Europe, we were working every Monday. After race, they went to the factory. Our guys stayed somewhere in Europe because they could not travel so much. So we lost a lot. This lack of technology that we missed at that time, it's still ongoing. I mean, it's still affecting us. But on your question, I mean, we have been trying, and everybody's asking, and I'm always giving the same reply. I know it sounds a little bit boring. This Alberto will say, but it's the truth. And the truth is that we believe in our system. We know we are not there. Of course, Honda is a leader, and sooner or later we will find the way to come back to a real super machine. And this is the only thing that it's in the mind of the company. And all the people involved in the project has the same thinking style. And I can understand from the outside the typical question, because I receive this question every day in the circuit, in the street, in the cinema. How can this happen? Honda is Honda. I say, yeah, Honda is Honda, but life is not always like this. Life is ups and downs. And now we are in a moment which we are down, but with no intention of staying down. Our intention is to wake up, stand up, and go back to the top. So, yeah, it's not the best of the times, but it would be much, much worse if there was no intention to fix it. But our intention is to fix it and to come back to the winning mode.
So how is it working with, just a quick one before we do our fun fact, how is it working now with Joanna and Luca? It's a very different lineup to when you first arrived at the team. Two very different riders. How are they kind of fitting into the team, and how does it work day to day with them? And then also obviously now with Taka and Joan, and soon to be Somcat as well.
Well, I mean, you know, all the generations are coming different, and these guys are new generation, what I call. The way of working today of the riders, let's say, it's a little bit different from what the guys in the past were doing. And I've seen all the process, you know? So it's different. It's different way of working. True is that also the system is putting a lot of things on the rider's shoulder that must be done, that in the past were not happening. So I think now we are in a, let's say, in a environment where things are different, and the riders, let's say, interaction or the riders' activity during the weekend, it's quite different from the past. But regarding our riders, I mean, they're two guys, they are very, very, let's say, cool, low profile, they've never had the problem.
No dramas.
No drama. They are trying to do what has to be done, and then on Sunday they do whatever they can with the bike, and of course they are always trying to support our engineers to improve the bike. But yeah, we are not having any problems. No problems with these two kids.
Kids, wow, now that makes me feel young, which is rare nowadays.
Yeah, but they are kids at the end. I wish I had that age.
Okay, so we will go on to our Estrella Galicia 00 fun facts. I've made it very Spanish accented there for you in honor of our guests.
I'm ready.
They're not too bad, the questions, I think. They're nice, a little good spread of stuff.
Okay.
We even have our specially printed fun facts.
Okay.
So, we have one that kind of goes back to our talent promotion, younger riders ones, but I think more specifically about MotoGP. So Rafi Rudzwan 28 would want to know, will you find a new talent, a younger rider for Honda for the future? So maybe within the programs that you're involved with, is it also ever about trying to see that rider in your team in MotoGP, or do you keep the two kind of separate in your head?
I will try to find a young rider wherever.
Just the rider is the main thing.
The rider is the main thing. If I find him in the street and it's good, we will take him.
I think that's good. So Smile with JJJ wants to know, who's the most iconic rider you've managed? Now, you do have a good selection of people here.
Please describe iconic.
Iconic? I mean, I guess those who are bigger than the sport, who have a huge presence, success, something to them. The ídolos, kind of.
Probably Marc Marquez.
I feel like he's got to be, hasn't it? Sorry to, you know, no roast on the other icons also in that list. So Connie Schubert wants to know, do you miss racing as a rider?
I miss racing as a rider if I could walk correctly, but I had this injury that has been bothering me since July 1995, and this really is affecting myself. But I wish I could ride, of course, because still, when I think, I know I think as a rider. I drive as a rider, but I don't have the skill anymore because my leg is not working correctly. So I miss it, yes, of course.
You do miss. Do you feel that when you like watch the guys pit out, does part of you go, oh, or is it more?
Yeah, of course, you're in tension. I mean, you feel it. The moment you don't feel it is the moment you have to leave this paddock and go home.
I like that. And then the final one, Derek Cassells. This is a Honda Now question. If you had a magic wand to improve one thing, magic wand, oh, I don't think I know that in Spanish either. If magically you could improve one thing on the bike, what would it be? So where is the biggest focus now for Honda to try and improve? Is there one area where you think we need to work on this the most, or?
I would improve the bike.
I thought we run the risk here of you being like, I'm not giving you a specific thing.
No, I gave you a very specific
The
answer.
bike.
I will improve the bike.
Is there anything on the bike? Is there anything?
The bike is a summatory of parts.
And they all work together?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So sorry, Derek, I thought we were running the risk you might not get the most specific answer. But okay, Alberto, thank you so much. We've taken nearly half an hour of your life today.
Well, it's
I think
not so bad.
Hopefully some great insights for people who maybe didn't know you that well, or maybe want to get a bit more information about Honda and deep dive. Thank you so much for joining us. Best of luck this weekend and the rest of the season. And yeah, thank you for time.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.